welcome to episode 23 of Rapid Reviews Radio. I am your co-host, Kiley Wild, and I'm joined by a very isolated Pete Beckett.
Hello.
How has this wonderful week treated you?
It started out very sociably, but now has become very isolating. So,
Yes.
As of, I think it was Wednesday, I've been working from home. So,
Oof. Yeah.
it's not been a fun experience, but it's been all right because I, for some reason, seem to be more productive at home.
Ah, that's very good. Most people experience the opposite. From what I hear, I myself am always isolated and working from home. So
Yeah, you're used to it for sure.
there has been no change in my life. Well,
you say that, but they're kind of happy.
Yeah, I've actually got 3 people staying with me at the moment, and I'm not used to that.
No, you're used to being the solitary person.
Yes, and it's indeterminate how long it's going to last, and that's not fun.
No, I mean for you, it's for socializing. I know it's usually
yes.
for you.
Yes.
I mean it's a struggle doing this alone.
Oh, it's true.
I know, but you get through it just about.
Oh gosh, yeah, no. It's to be fair, as cheesy as it sounds, it is actually the highlight of my week. Most times.
I was gonna make a bad joke there, but I'm not gonna.
Oh no! I took the wind out of your sarcastic sails.
No, because it's probably going to be a reference to something that I can't make references to any.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you can probably gather what that probably is.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. I'll tell you afterwards so that you know for sure.
Yeah. But so hopefully we're bringing you a very positive, happy experience this week for those of you that are out in isolation, quarantine, whatever phrasing you want to use. Because we're all going through it together.
Yep.
We're all having to make sacrifices. I have to sacrifice my isolation for other people's. So.
And I have to sacrifice my want for socializing.
Exactly. So I guess we'll move on to the news.
Yes, we will. So this week has been a bit slim pickings, but we've had some huge stories come in.
Yes.
And I mean huge.
Huge.
Yes. So, should we start with Sony or should we start with Microsoft?
I'm going to start with Sony.
Okay.
I'm going to say start with Sony.
Yeah, we will start with Sony because, God. So we all know that obviously they cancelled their talk at GDC because GDC got cancelled or postponed.
Yes. Technically postponed.
I can't even work it out anymore. Whether it's cancelled or postponed, to be honest.
I know.
So Sony decided that they're actually going to give a talk online with the lead architect for the PS5, Mark Cerny, giving an online seminar about the technical aspects of the PS5. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to read the next sentence as I wrote it. Manages to bore nearly everybody with it.
The funny thing about that is off mic, you asked me, did you watch the Sony Direct or whatever?
Yeah, the keynote.
The keynote, and I was like, no, because it was too boring. I hadn't actually read your little blurb yet. So I was like, all right, we're on the same page. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, because I was working from home, it was just easy for me to log on at clock and just go, you know what, I'm gonna try and watch this. And I couldn't get onto the PlayStation blog to actually watch it, so I had to watch it via a restream.
Oh, right.
It didn't bother me too much because they stayed mostly quiet throughout the whole thing.
Oh, that's good.
But it was very technical, very sort of all over the place in terms of talking about quite a lot of the stuff that we already had seen in like a couple of the print magazines that they'd discussed the technical aspects. I mean, they were talking about, 3D audio, which was one of the things that they discussed as one of the key features of the PS5. They spoke about the breakdown of the SSD, and
I wonder what the difference, maybe to explore in future episodes, the difference between surround sound and 3D audio. I'm still kind of confused about that, but
Well, they went into it in quite a lot of detail.
right.
That basically 3D audio is trying to make it surround sound without the need for headphones. So it's trying to use the audio of each individual machine. So
Right.
whether or not you've got built-in speakers to your monitor or a decent surround sound, which they talk about Sonos sound bars. They specifically mentioned Sonos for some reason.
I'm sure they've got a stake in that.
They probably do.
It
And then
is
they were just generally talking about the speakers that you get built in on a TV. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make dynamic high range sound for everybody rather than just people who are on surround sound systems.
Well, I mean, I can appreciate that. But as someone who enjoys surround sound because you can put the speakers behind you, I mean, I do wonder. It'll be interesting. I want to see how that works. I love surround sound.
Yeah, so do I. I told you about that story where I was playing Condemned with the speakers behind me, and that was freaking me the hell out, which was amazing.
It's amazing.
I mean, it works really well in horror games, and it works really well with FPSs as well, because you can hear. They specifically mentioned it in terms of an SPS as being able to hear the sound of movement from somewhere along the map and knowing exactly what direction it was coming from.
Yeah, and definitely in, I would say, in multiplayer, well, just in FPS in general, the sounds are very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say specifically in most games that sounds are important, because have you ever tried to play a game without sounds that kind of require them?
Well, I was sitting here thinking, like, give me your point of view, like, on fighting games. Are there cues? Okay.
There are heavy audio cues when it comes to...
okay.
So you might hear, like, especially if you're inputting a special move. I'll use Street Fighter as the obvious example.
Yes.
It's easy to understand, is that, you know, you can actually hear them saying certain things when they're throwing out a special move. So
of course, yeah.
Ryu and Ken will say Hadouken, Shoryuken, or Tatsumaki Seppuken.
Yeah.
And then, so if you manage to catch them, you can actually hear them saying it whilst you're in a slowdown.
Oh.
So if you pull off a super or an ultra move in 4, or a critical art in 5, you can actually hear the sound as you're putting that, because the slowdown comes into play when you hear those moves.
Right. Okay.
You can also hear it quite a lot in Smash Brothers as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I can definitely see how that would be an advantage in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have tried to play a fighting game without the sound on, and it's so much more difficult.
Oh, that's wild. Oh, I bet that's a good way to practice.
It is very good, but then it's very weird as well, because different machines will have different audio options on.
Yeah.
So they might have the Japanese voices or the English voices, and that can throw people off as well, because they're completely different sound effects too.
You know, I'm sitting here and it just dawned on me. Overwatch. I tried to play Overwatch with the sound off because I didn't want to wake people up.
Yep.
That was bad, because much in the same way as fighting games, before they do an ult, they do, they each have a saying that they do, and you know, like, I need to run and hide. And I couldn't hear them, and I did not do as well.
Yeah, I tried to do the same when I used to play Splatoon 2 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Where a lot of that is very heavy sound effects.
Yes.
You know, because you need to be able to hear out whether or not the sticky bomb's coming or something like that. Right. And there is a lot of the special abilities all have their own audio cues as well, so you want to be listening out to them. So it's just one of those things. It's really, really difficult, like, without sound to actually play. And there are some people out there who can do it. I just can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
So I can understand their aspect, really, of why 3D audio is going to be such a huge selling point for the PS5, but I'm not convinced, because they didn't show any real life sort of aspect to it. They were just they were literally just showing the dynamic range of your hearing, like in a
Oh yeah,
spreadsheet. So weird.
yeah. That's called a time filler. That's because they didn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. Yep.
I've done the same,
Of
especially in
course you have.
corporate meetings. Yeah, like, oh, let's
Yeah.
look at the structure of the human ear. Yes.
I mean, it did make sense to what they were talking about.
Yeah, it's a loosely thing though. It's like,
Yeah.
I need this talk to
I mean,
be 25 minutes. I'm gonna add stuff.
yeah, it's kind of like what Sum 41 said: all filler, all killer, no filler.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, they took it the other way though. All
Yeah, it's the
filler.
opposite, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
too funny.
that was the thing about this, is one of the biggest talking points about this was not actually something they said, but something they didn't mention.
Right?
Or they kind of mentioned, but didn't really go into massive amounts of detail. So I ask you, do you remember before this them discussing backwards compatibility with every machine?
Yes, that's right.
That is not the case.
What? Because that was one of their biggest like pushes.
Yep. Well, apparently, according to Mark Cerny, and as what's come out afterwards, is apparently that this is not going to be backwards compatible with the PS3, the PS2, or the PS1.
Oh, they know better than to overpromise.
I know, and look what they've done is they specifically mentioned it in the keynote. Mark Cerny stated that the top 100 listed games or most played games on the PS4 are all working on it, and they're working on getting more on it.
That's
So
disappointing.
that basically means they're probably not going to have more than 100 games on there at launch.
I wonder if now this might be one of our rapid reviews predictions. If that's being done purposefully because they want to do some kind of Nintendo eShop version of the Sony store.
What, like the NES and the SNES online service?
Exactly, because all you need is I don't want to give away too much, but you just need a disk image. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And the original PlayStation up to the PlayStation 3, those disk images, all right, I'll just call them what they are, ISOs, are small. And
yeah, they're tiny.
They'd be able to host those, and then you would just play. You could stream it, basically, is what I'm saying, and or even download it. But I bet it's more. Yeah, because oh god, that's got to be what it is. Because a lot of us were hoarding old games, getting ready for the drop, and then for them to announce that, I think that they're trying to build a Nintendo eShop model. That's what I think. That's my position in this.
Okay. Can I ask you a quick question then?
Sure.
When was the last time you went on a PS4?
Oof.
A long time ago then.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It is sitting here literally covered in a very thick layer of dust. Oh, it's really gross. Yeah. Yeah, it's icky.
So you may know about it. You may not know how long it's been on there for. PlayStation Now.
I keep hearing people talk about that.
Well, that's their streaming service.
Is it really?
That has PS4 games on it now.
Oh, right.
I think they're gearing up for PS Now to be their big thing.
Yep.
That's my prediction, at least, anyway.
Yep.
I reckon what they'll have is the old PS4 games that can be played off the disc.
Yep.
So if they didn't have a game, then it will also be on PS Now. But they're gonna massively stock up the PS Now service with lots of PS1 and PS2 games.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was listening out for actually was a video by Review Tech today, who basically turned around and said that a modder has been able to get PS3 games working on an emulator on a really old AMD chipset.
Yep.
And yet Sony keep coming out and saying it's too hard to do.
And see, I know it's not hard to do because I have ran PlayStation emulators. That's how I know about ISOs.
Of course you do.
So yeah, so I knew they were full of BS.
They are completely full of it. Like we all know that they're not going to. I know that they're not going to include this. I think most people are now on the understanding that they're not going to include this because I think they're going to want their machine under 500 £500. Yeah, and they're not going to do that if they have a full backwards compatible way of across the entire generations.
Also, let's be honest, they are losing a money-making opportunity by people going and buying old games that are like at CEX or cash converters or just
because they don't get the money out of them
exactly.
At all. There's no retail value for them.
Exactly. And I'm sending you a picture of my PlayStation right quick.
Of course you are. I'm worried. But,
just so you can see just how... What I've done, listeners, is send him a picture of my PlayStation 4 where I have wiped a corner clear of dust.
Just so you can see the dust.
Yep. I mean,
that's super disappointing because that looks like a redesigned PS4 as well.
It is. It's also got that thing on top is the PSVR thing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the receiver for the PSVR.
Thank you. That's the word. I couldn't think.
Yeah. I've never seen them, to be honest, so I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, and it's very gross. I don't. Once God of War was done, I haven't touched it.
Yeah. Now, funnily enough, I played my PS4 the other day. Mm-hmm. I needed some time to just chill out, chill the hell out on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
So I was playing a bit of it, and my God, honestly, and this will lead on to one of the things that they were discussing actually in there. So this is not a random thing, but I turned my PlayStation on to go and play Ultimate Marvelous Capcom 3. Yes. I've been obsessed with that game for some reason over this week.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned to me, and I think that's funny.
Yeah, so I turned it on and I got the game going. It's digital download, but yet it still sounds like my PS4 is about to take off out the window.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's so very strange.
Yeah, but that's why I mentioned it, because I actually did mention about the airflow and the heat issues with the PS4 and how they're able to change that so that it's a much more free sounding and non-problematic PS5 basically when it comes to that.
See, that's actually really good. I actually was talking to a reviewer for another publication on Twitter.
How dare you?
I know. What have I done? Oh no.
I know. Don't worry. It's fine.
But he's very strictly PlayStation. And he was talking about the possibility of his PlayStation sounding like a jet taking off when he finally would get Doom Eternal.
Yeah, it probably would.
And we'll talk about this more in a little bit. But I have loaded up Doom Eternal on my Xbox, and my Xbox was chugging along like...
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, and the good thing is the heat it put off was so great, and I was glad for it, that my gaming room, which is just an underground layer, heated up quite nicely without having to use the space heater. So
nice, very nice.
Yeah, so that tells you it's a very intensive game. So it's I'm sure, I mean, it's now been released. I'm sure it's intensive on the PS4 as well.
I'm sure. I'd love to see Digital Foundry. I'm pretty sure they have actually done one to do with that. So Doom Eternal review and ID Tech 7 masterpiece. Yeah, so they've gone into full like mode on that one probably. Yeah. They're usually pretty good for that.
Yeah, I'm glad someone out there's doing it because I just can't.
Yeah, there was absolutely no way I was going to try and cover it. Not a chance.
Nope.
But yeah, so I thought it was quite interesting that they were basically talking about the PS4 runs hot and runs loud because it sounds. I think it was the processor was running far too many things on it.
Yeah.
On the PS4, so this one they've basically got a chipset that's pretty much gonna run things separately, so it will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the truth is...
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I was bored to death by this. It was very technical.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to make 2 points. We can move on. But,
yeah.
So, Microsoft produces PCs.
Yep.
And the PCs that... Well, software for PCs. But, so a lot of their programming already uses the partitioning chipsets. I'm using as just plain language as I can.
Yeah, I'm glad you said partitioning, because I think that was what I was trying to think of. But couldn't.
I'm very sure, because that's what kicked this off in my brain. And Sony, over the last couple of years, has started using the same stuff that Microsoft uses.
Yeah,
it's very hard to... I'm just being so generic.
They use the same x86 chipset and the same Jaguar core, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. And now Sony is learning, how to use the the partitioning. I mean, I guess that's really the most basic. I can boil it down to the most basic sense.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see this. I mean, Xbox was already using that in the Xbox One X. They didn't use it very well in the Xbox One, but they have managed to utilize it a bit of a better way with the One X. Yes, exactly. So I'm glad to see Sony doing this, because they needed to. Is really what it comes down to.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go any further into this one.
I was going to say, so really what I'm coming down to is, when the console wars start back up, ultimately, under the hood, neither of them are very different from the other.
No, they're very, very similar, and we'll go into that in a moment anyways.
Yeah.
Because, moving on,
yes,
Microsoft, in a blog post, it was either last week or the week before, decided to show the official confirmed specs for the Xbox Series X, because we didn't already have.
Yes.
Apparently. So that was very weird.
That is.
But
strange.
they have been discussing the finer details of them, I guess, like the actual, the GPU speeds and all that sort of thing, and so I'll go into this as nerdy as we sound. I do not care, because I have to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll go into this again, because this is much like what we've already discussed before.
Our lowest, I was going to say viewed. Lowest, see, so we're keeping it brief. So funny. But
so learn a lesson. Let's not go into text, because tech speak nobody likes.
Yep.
But for this one, so we've already mentioned it's a Zen 2 core, which is exactly what they use in the PS5 as well.
Yep.
Clocked at 3.8 gigahertz, but 3.6 gigahertz with SMT. I'm not sure what SMT is, if I'm honest.
Makes no freaking difference. I was about to say another word.
Cool.
No, it doesn't. That's so minor, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Sorry, just before I carry on, I did want to mention one thing that Sony did actually announce on theirs. The SSD that they've got coming on the PS5 is an 850 gigabyte one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now that's good.
No, 850 gigabytes.
Oh, that's still under a terabyte. Oh, crap.
That's weird, right?
I didn't pay attention to the gigabyte part.
No, that is weird.
That is weird. That's a very weird
number.
That is very weird.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm about to go boring. So.
Okay. All right. Storage on the Xbox Series X. I've heard so many people saying Xbox One X Series X, and I hate the name.
Me too.
I'm just gonna call it the XBXS.
Well, that's pretty good.
SX, XBSX. Yeah,
I was just
don't know.
Gonna call it Xbox X. So.
Well, we are getting very close to just calling it the sex anyway.
Yeah, the sex box.
Yeah. It's my turn with the sex box.
And her name is Bertha or whatever.
Family Guy references.
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay, so the story on this one. God. So yeah, right. Rein it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the storage on this on the Xbox Series X is a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so they've confirmed that there's an optical drive on there, thank goodness,
Yeah.
which is a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player.
Right. Not
Thank
a surprise.
goodness.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
yeah.
Potential for 8K resolution.
Yeah.
Up to 120 frames per second support.
Oh gosh, that'll be me vomiting everywhere.
Yep. Ray tracing technology.
Yes.
Variable rate shading for more stable frame rates.
Which let me say, I know we're gonna talk about this later, but I have to be nerdy for a second.
Yeah, you go.
Doom Eternal does not use ray tracing, from what I understand, and it's freaking gorgeous. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they.
I'm not sure, but I also heard that it wasn't running a native 4K on the Stadia like they promised.
Well, see, I wouldn't think that it would, to be fair. But anyway, that's
a different story for a different day.
Yeah, that's nerdy talk. So
yeah.
Join us on our other podcast, Talk Nerdy to Me.
That's actually a good idea. We should do that.
We could do that. We'd have no listeners, but we'd get to be as nerdy as we want.
Yeah, we would, because I'm now starting to actually feel like I'm as much of a nerd as I want to be.
Yep.
Because I'm starting to finally understand what these numbers mean.
No, it's really good. It's like learning another language. It's fun. And then you can see when they're BSing you, which is why I ever learn anything.
Yeah, of course.
I'm glad they haven't mentioned teraflops, but yes, continue.
Oh, no, I haven't mentioned the teraflops yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So, confirmed compatible with all Xbox One accessories.
Excellent.
Thank goodness.
That was really good on their part. That was really good.
Okay. So there was a couple of other specs that I'll talk about, but there is another thing that I wanted to mention to you afterwards. So get through this last bit. Come on.
All right.
GPU, 12 teraflops.
Right.
52 CUs at 1.825 gigahertz with a custom RDNA2.
Okay.
Jesus God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boring.
That means
Let's
nothing.
be honest.
I know what it means, but I'm telling you guys, it doesn't mean anything.
It really doesn't. We even said this. You put a tweet out the other day that said we called this again.
We called it.
Where a AAA developer who's developed for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo said that teraflops make no difference.
Yep.
We called it. We said it.
We did.
You know,
we called it months ago on our lowest listened to.
Okay. So the last thing that I think is the most important is the memory.
Yes.
16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, which is a good amount of memory.
That is a surplus, so I can only think that they are doing that for their next release of their streamlined one that they always put out later.
Yep.
And then making it, I can't believe I'm going to say this, 8K, what is it called?
Yep.
No, when it's not native, but 8K support. Yeah.
Upscaling.
Upscaling is what it comes down to. Because that 16 gigabytes for basically RAM memory is a lot. It's overkill, actually. So there'll be stuff not being used.
This image that I'm just going to edit for you, so just give me 2 seconds. But
okay.
No, there's an image that you have seen.
Uh-huh.
I just want to send it to you so that you've got a reference.
Right.
So,
it's our favorite part of the podcast.
There was a very interesting thing about it. That's why I'm bringing it up to you. I'm sure you know exactly what it is. So.
Oh yeah. Not even having to.
You remember the port that we spoke about before?
Yes. Yep.
It turns out that port is expandable SSD storage.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be expensive.
That's gonna be super expensive.
Yeah, they're basically like little cards that
Mm-hmm.
you can add to the back of it, so you can take the built-in 1 terabyte
Mm-hmm.
SSD to
And
like a
expand
2
it.
or a 3
Yeah.
terabyte. Because
Yeah.
apparently, according to Microsoft, you can store your games on an external hard drive,
Mm-hmm.
but if you
Which,
want to get the most out of the Series X games, you can't run them off there. You have to run them off the SSD
wow. Yeah, because right
because
now,
they're built with that SSD in mind
yeah, that is a
for faster
very,
loading.
yeah, that's a very interesting money maker for them. Because
Yes, it will be.
currently on my Xbox, Xbone, I
Y-
load from a external I almost said teraflop. Oh my gosh. A 1 terabyte drive,
Yeah,
and I load my games off of there, and they load just fine. There's no problem.
yeah, that's exactly what they've said. Is that if you want to store them on there, you can. You're
Yeah,
perfectly capable of storing them on an external hard drive.
but
But
don't
if
load them
you
from
want
there.
to run them, you can't. You have to transfer them from there onto the SSD.
Mm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that Xbox One games and Xbox 360 games and OG Xbox games can't run off of it.
That's true. Okay, that's true. So if you just stick those on an external,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
I'm
yeah, that's
literally.
true.
I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to buy
Yeah.
an external drive for maybe a 4 terabyte or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Keep all my Xbox One games on that hard drive
Yeah.
and any others that I've got, and then literally just free up the SSDs just for the Series X games, and maybe
Yeah.
even buy external storage just for the back of it.
That's a good
But
idea, especially when Game Pass and everything. When you have to
yeah,
download those as well. Yeah.
sure. I mean, I
Okay.
can guarantee that. I think that they're going to try and reduce file sizes quite a lot because one of the
Oh,
things
I
that
hope so.
they said about in the Sony one is why the SSD was important was
Mhm.
because you haven't got to replicate so many things in the code.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can have them built in. So one of the mentions was Spider-Man loading 400 mailboxes.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, I can get that. I
Yeah.
understand why I've done that.
I
But
I I find it interesting. Again, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but Doom Eternal was 80 gigs.
yep.
Just a little bit
Of
more than
course
80
it
gigs.
of course it
Yeah.
was.
So
So
if I hadn't had the external hard drive, I don't think I could have downloaded it.
no, of course you wouldn't.
But
Uh
yes.
yeah. Right, there is one and I'm trying to find the good picture of it for you. But they showed the redesigned controller.
Oh, did they? Let's
Oh, they
see.
did.
I did miss something.
It is an Xbox One controller.
Of course, I knew it would be. I knew it would be. Like
No,
I knew.
what they were
Mm.
talking about is they were saying that they wanted a slight evolution rather than a revolution because they
Oh
felt that
gosh.
the Xbox One controller was probably one of their best. Which I
Um.
don't disagree with
Yeah,
because it is a fucking beautiful controller.
it
And I've
is. I
just
like
sworn.
it. Um.
Uh,
Oh.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I just did that. So
We're gonna put.
I'm gonna have to honk.
You're gonna have to honk.
I'm sorry, everyone. I've let myself down. But yeah, I mean that is an incredible controller to be fair.
Yeah.
What they've added to it is they've added a new share button, which means that streaming is
Oh.
actually going to be so much easier
Uh,
now for that.
Woof. If you have been
Oh my god!
watching this week for the Rapid Reviews radio streams,
Yep,
and I stream from the Xbox, obviously, or
yep,
Xbox One.
yep.
It is so finicky, so difficult. Oh, you have to. It's not easy. I wished it was a one button thing. So the fact that they're
Yeah.
doing that makes me very happy.
Yeah, it's dumb,
Oh,
like to be honest. Whereas on the PlayStation, it is like share button done. It's
see,
that simple.
yeah.
Right, so I've just sent the link over to you. I'm wondering if you can notice the one addition they've changed to this.
Okay. It's just showing me the back of it.
That's the point.
Oh. Uh,
What do you notice?
Let me like the a battery thing.
Nope.
Um. Wait. Yeah. All the buttons are there. I'm really looking. Um.
Yeah. I'll also send
The
you the one at the.
connector's there, and then the infrared thing's there. Okay, no, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not picking it up right away. Except for the grippers have texture
The
on them.
what? Sorry.
The grippers.
There you go. You're dead on. They've added grips onto the
Oh,
figures.
nice.
I think
Okay.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Also, I'll show you the front image as well because there's a one other slight addition I didn't mention was the D-pad. The
Oh,
D-pad has changed.
wow. So you don't have to lift your. You totally can rotate your thumb.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's
I
more for
like.
fighting games, isn't it? That's what you
I
guys
tell you
do.
what. Honestly, that the Xbox One D-pad is horrible, utterly horrible.
I bet it would be. I'm sitting here looking
Uh,
at it. Yeah.
Also, the Xbox Elite controllers had a really solid D-pad on them
Mm-hmm.
because you could obviously customize them.
Yeah.
But Xbox has never got a D-pad ever. They've never got one right.
Yeah, you're exactly right because the PlayStation 3 controller, I think, was the one that got a really good, believe it or not, something good came out of PlayStation 3. But
Yeah,
the
D-pad is.
D-pad was really well done on that one.
Yeah, it's a very good D-pad. I mean, to be honest with you, the Xbox One D-pad is not the worst. It's not as bad as 360's one,
Right.
but it's still pretty bad.
Like, for an FPS, it's fine, but I can absolutely see how in a fighting game or any kind of. There's no rolling. You can't roll your thumb.
No, you can't. That's why it made it so much more difficult.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's why I stick to stick.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have
So,
to, yeah. So I'm
yeah,
interested.
so
I'm glad to see that. Yeah.
yeah, you see what I mean? It's more of an
Yeah.
evolution. You know, the Xbox One controller was a bit of a drastic redesign, kind of.
It was. It was because they streamlined it so much
Yeah.
comparatively.
To be honest with you, I really liked the 360 controller despite the D-pad. I think it was one of the more comfortable controllers I'd ever used.
I definitely like the sticks better on the
Yeah.
Xbox 360.
I have to say, I've grown very attached to the Xbox One controller, though.
Mhm.
I think it's a very good controller.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I love it, but only because that's what I mostly use more than anything. Yeah. But it is interesting that I just because I'm so FPS minded, I never
Yeah.
picked up that you can't roll on the D-pad
Yeah.
because I don't need
Well, that's
to.
what. No, that's where it's a big difference in different gaming styles.
Yeah,
You know, that's why I
exactly.
think the Xbox Elite controllers
Mm-hmm.
were literally catered to any play style, which is why
Exactly.
customize the triggers or
Mm-hmm.
tighten or loosen them, or you could change the sticks, you could change the D-pad on it or rotate it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird, but
Yeah.
it worked. It really did. And if they weren't £150, I'd go and buy
Oh
one.
gosh, I know. I broke the. Well, I didn't. Some people that I have staying at my house
Yeah.
broke one of my buttons on the Xbox One controller.
Oh my god.
My left button, which it still works, but it's not fast. It falls
What,
out.
the
And,
bumper?
yeah, the bumper.
Ugh.
The
The bumpers are terrible on them, to be fair.
They are. They're absolutely terrible. And this is the second
I,
one that someone's broke. And
yeah.
I'm deciding, like, it gets me through. Again, I'm not playing fighting games, and I haven't gone. The servers weren't up for the battle mode on Doom
Yep.
Eternal. They should be now, and so I'll test it on there. But I don't want to buy a new controller this close to a new console dropping.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that
Okay.
really.
Yeah.
makes me mad.
Well, that is actually one of the things they were discussing on it. So they've obviously added the grips to the triggers, but they also said that they've improved the bumper buttons
That's good.
according to Digital Foundry anyway, because when I've been playing GTA 5, they've obviously assigned the handbrake in the driving to R, which is super awkward when you've got, when accelerate is the right trigger.
Yes, exactly.
I hate it because my instinctive thing is to hold my index finger on the triggers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So therefore,
Yeah,
what do I have to do then? I have to change to the middle finger to do it. It feels so unnatural.
Yes, I am
Whereas
exactly the
if
same.
if they had the handbrake on LB, it would be no problem. It'd be no issue.
Exactly. Like I do I don't. Most of the games I play don't really utilize the bumpers as much.
Yeah.
Again, probably just because of FPS, you just point and shoot at things. Yeah. So I've never gotten used to my index fingers not be, my index fingers are always on the triggers.
Yeah.
Because I don't,
That makes
I've
sense.
I've played too many games where I didn't need the bumpers, and so yeah, same exact thing. If I have to move my, index fingers up and have just the middle fingers on the triggers, it feels weird. It feels odd. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very strange.
yeah. I don't feel like I have as much control. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm not going to talk any more about
Yeah.
specs.
Had to be
But
done. Had to be done.
yeah, of course. So these were probably the two biggest stories of the entire week.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to round it off in a very interesting way,
Yes.
we're going to cover Nintendo now.
Woohoo!
Because a direct happened finally,
Yes.
but an indie direct.
Yeah. Yep. Which, I find it I love that Nintendo kind of trolls everyone. I'm sorry, but I do.
That was really funny because everyone clearly wants a direct, so they give us
Yeah.
a direct.
I'm sorry.
To be
I
fair,
just love it.
I haven't heard any backlash to this. I think everyone's
Not
been quite happy
yeah.
with it.
Yeah, I think because we're so we'd be getting a pretty good solid stream of news from just people amping up for E3 and stuff in the summer.
Yeah.
That we're in a weird time where we'll just take anything we can get now. I mean,
Yeah,
at least that's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually watched this morning before we recorded because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot it was even happening on Tuesday.
Right.
So went back and watched it, and there were some really interesting games that were added there. I wanted to mention a couple of games that looked really interesting, more so, and a couple that obviously have made their way from other platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
Blair Witch was announced for the Switch, which, I mean, it's on Game Pass. I've heard bad things. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But to have a game like that that's, that's running on current platforms and looks quite nice,
Yeah.
running on a Switch is quite a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There was a couple of other games. So one of them was called Summer and Mara, and that looks very weird, let's say. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to... because let's be honest, most indie games are very, very sort of... They're either inspired by something or they're,
They're very distinctive.
Yeah, that's probably what I was looking for there.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I mean, it's got a really nice art style to it, if I'm honest.
I mean, a lot of... I was
I'll
just
send you the screenshot of what I've shown, which is really cool. It looks nice. It looks lovely. It just looks like a super chill game, basically.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so he sent me an image of Summer and Mara, and to be very fair, if I'd seen this image and knew nothing, I would say this is an indie game. It's the bright colors, the very delineated style. It's it's very indie.
It looks nice at least.
Oh yeah. It's quirky looking. Yeah. Quirky. That's
absolutely. Yeah. So there was another game there called Pixel Junk Eden 2, which I thought looked really cool.
I love the name.
It was very weird.
I don't know if there is one, but I've never heard of Pixel Junk Eden 1 or...
Yeah, I've never heard of it. So... I'd never heard of it before, but I mean, this looks like it's got a really nice sort of vibrant color palette to it, and it looks like quite an interesting sort of adventure game.
Mm-hmm. That sounds
good. But it's sort of like Rez, if you remember Rez.
Oh yes, very much.
Yeah, sort of similar to that, I would say.
Ah, yeah.
So it's very strange, but it's not one of the things that I looked at and went, I'm absolutely going to buy that day one. But
right.
Because that is reserved for a very interesting prospect, which is The Last Campfire.
Yes.
Which happens to be Hello Games' new game.
Mm-hmm.
So Hello Games are the people who made No Man's Sky.
Yes. And
so I'm going to support the game because they're from Guildford, which is just around me, really. So, but this game apparently is also coming to Xbox One and PS4 as well.
Yeah, I will definitely probably give it a playthrough myself. I always wanted No Man's Sky. Okay, no, that's not true. When No Man's Sky was first debuted, and I'm talking about way back.
2015.
Yeah, before anything. And everyone was raving and happy and everything. I was like, no, it's not. It's procedurally generated. This is not good. This is not good. Everything was procedurally generated at the time because we have all that. Sir, you're being hunted. All of that. And I've stated it here before, and I'm going to state it forever. I hate procedurally generated as the main aspect of the game. And then, sure enough, the game dropped, and it had all this hype, and everyone was like, well, this is crap.
Yeah.
And then
I still haven't played it as a result of that.
Yeah, I haven't either. Now, when they released the gigantic update, it apparently made it an amazing game, but to me, it's like, why didn't you just come out with that, you know?
There's a lot to it, if I'm honest. I think they had some funding from Sony. I didn't think they expected it to be anything like that. I also think as well that Sean Murray, the creative head of Hello Games, may have somewhat overstepped what they were discussing. You know, probably shouldn't have discussed certain things that weren't coming at launch. You know, talking about how you could meet people in the multiplayer, and then on day one, people found out you couldn't. Like,
exactly.
Within an hour of out, 2 Twitch streamers went to go and meet each other in part of the universe and couldn't see each other.
I literally said at that reveal, I turned to the people that were watching it with me, and I was like, "This is overhyped. They're not going to be able. They've overpromised, and they're doing a Peter Molyneux." And they were like, "No, be optimistic." And I'm like, "Nope. I've seen this pattern happen before." Mostly with Peter Molyneux.
We won't go into Peter Molyneux, shall we? I could honestly do an entire episode on how many lies that spoken.
I wanted to support him so bad. I even got the game
too.
When he released a mobile game. Well, I say him, his studios. Released a mobile game a couple of years ago. I want to say in 2016. I want to say it was in 2016. And I got it. And it was boring. Trash. And it wasn't good. And I was like, no. Because I've always wanted his stuff to be good. You know?
Yeah, me too. But you look at Fable 3, like how many promises they made for Fable 3 and how many of them didn't even come into fruition.
Yeah. And the thing is, without the over-promising, Fable 3 would have been it's a solid game. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
I like it. But he had so many, I know. He had so many promises that couldn't be fulfilled that it was a disappointment going in. I was like, all the stuff that he promised and just
far too much. Yeah. I mean, he promises too much and delivers on very little.
Right. Which if he would just keep his mouth shut and let the games speak for themselves, it would be okay.
Yeah, actually, they would. But why did you suddenly go all 90 radio to there?
I don't know.
No, there was a podcast that I was listening to called Last Podcast on the Left, and they've been talking about radio producers from back in the 60s because they're covering the JFK assassinations.
Yes.
And one of the things they were talking about, and I won't go too in depth because they're a very R-rated thing, where they're talking about how a radio literally announce anything and they start talking about some sexual thing like in the radio announcer voice.
Oh my god.
And it was really funny.
That's good. That's good.
Good old bit. Funny enough, though, it's so strange because one of the presenters on that, a guy named Henry, and he's actually a Hollywood actor in the street, and he's in that. And it's so weird. I'm looking at him. Like, you are a podcaster, sir. What are you doing in films?
See that always happens to me. I mean, I've mentioned several of the podcasts I listen to, and And it's weird to find out that the writers of the podcast are writers of television shows that I watch. And sometimes, let's say it was like Conan O'Brien or whatever,
Oh yeah.
Ryder will be in a skit, and it's like, no, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, but that was the thing though, is that Conan O'Brien was on like the best series of The Simpsons.
Yes, that's
Which
true.
is so weird.
It is
He's
weird.
like he was like an executive producer and a writer
Yep.
on season 6. Like it's one of the best seasons of The Simpsons.
Exactly. Oh god.
It's so weird. But anyway, I'll finish this section up.
Yes.
With a game that came exclusively to the Switch that has once been locked away behind Apple Arcade.
Oh.
And we, as a review site, did get the code for it.
Yes.
Exit the Gungeon.
Yes.
Man, Enter the Gungeon was fantastic, so I can't wait to play this.
Yes, and definitely, we've posted the review, haven't we?
I believe so.
I think it went up this week.
It must have done.
I think so. So definitely go check it out if it's up this week, and if not, keep your eyes open because it will be.
Yeah, I know we got the code for it. I looked at it and went, "What? Exit the Gungeon? What?" Yeah. I was like, "When did that happen?"
I know, because it feels like Enter the Gungeon was not that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago on the Switch.
Yeah,
but I played it on the PS4.
Yeah, I watched someone else play it.
It's rock hard.
Oh, it is.
I love it though.
Somebody needs to isolate you saying that.
Yeah. I'm not going into that.
Use it as a blackmail in the future. But
oh dear. Moving on.
Yes, moving on.
So that's the news this week.
Yeah, that brings us to our infamous section of You Got This. This is our 2-minute segment that is never 2 minutes.
Better be 2 minutes this week.
I know. I need to wrap it up. Yes, for those of you who don't know, it's actually Mother's Day in the UK, which is very different. It's way earlier than Mother's Day in the US. So, So hey, if we got any mothers listening, happy Mother's Day, I guess.
Big up the mothers out there everywhere.
Absolutely. So, and I hope you're enjoying your day. But this is our You Got This segment. I know things are a little bit weird nowadays, but you still have to take your moments for yourself. Have your mindfulness moments.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be 2 minutes, but...
Especially if you're self-isolating or having to work from home. Go out and have a walk, honestly. Yes. It's probably one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's really what this week's theme is. Now, this is based on the NHS information, because I wanted to have as scientific, I guess, if that's the right phrase, professionalist, I don't know, peer-reviewed research, there you go, as possible. And it's their ways to fight loneliness and be happier. So if you want to read it for yourself, it is on the nhs.uk site under stress, anxiety, depression, feel better and happy. So they've got 6 tips here, and I'll go through them and then we'll just do a quick wrap up. So if you have a lot of stress in your life, you need to find ways to reduce it, such as learning a few time management techniques. Introduce regular exercise and time to yourself, which goes hand in hand with what you just said, which is take a walk. It's so important because we're not isolating ourselves from the outside. We need to still go outside, fresh air, sunshine, all of that. We need all of that. All of that's connected to your mood. And then it will help your feelings of anxiety along with your stress. And then breathing techniques can help. And one thing that I have found is that you can find actual mindfulness breathing techniques on YouTube. And they're very helpful.
They can be, yeah.
They can be, yeah. And then it says, which I find funny in a kind of, I guess, irony type way, but it says, enjoy yourself. It's like...
I'm not even going into that one.
Doing things you enjoy is good for your emotional well-being. Simple activities with a friend. I'm not kidding. That's what it says. That is what it says.
That is okay. They're basically yeah. I'm not going. Okay, I'm not going into it. Moving on.
Simple activities like with a friend, having a soak in the bath, watching sports. And I do realize that it's really tough right now to watch sports.
You can't watch anything.
Yeah, I mean, the sports that they are airing isn't it like football games being played in stadiums with no people?
They're not even playing football at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there's just nothing. If there are games, there's like you said, some of them have been behind closed doors, but most of them have just been postponed until the end of April now.
Yeah, I know. When I heard that the NBA had suspended games, I was like, "Oh, this gonna get real." So, but once again, that's where these video sites come up because you can watch. Like, I advise you to go watch roller derby. Maybe learn little aspects of that.
I'd advise you to go back and watch old football games.
Yes. Some nice rugby though. Oh, yeah. Then they say to boost your self-esteem. Actually, this is a good point. Try to avoid things that seem enjoyable at the time, but make you feel worse afterwards, such as drinking too much alcohol or eating junk food. Now, I don't know about all of you guys. I'm usually pretty strict with my food intake, because I am normally in training. I have no training on the horizon, and I have eaten so much chocolate. I
was also going to say you're not exactly regulating your alcohol.
No, and then there's no regulation on alcohol whatsoever. I made this comment on, I don't know, one of my social medias, and I went in to Tesco's. I'm about to sound like the most privileged piece of crap. I went into Tesco's, and all that was left was the under 5-pound wine.
Oh no!
How am I supposed to drink that?
Through a straw, like you do with all the other ones.
I'm not gonna lie, I did buy some, and the funny thing is, oh my gosh, yes, I realize how privileged I sound, but the funny thing is, once you get into the cheaper wines, like the under 5, they don't call them like Chardonnay or Pinot Grigio. They call them fruity.
Fortified.
Yeah, fortified wine is one of them. And fruity and clean. It's like, but what are you? I need to know what you are. I probably look like the biggest dork in the alcohol aisle the other day, because I'm just
because you're holding your head to your hand.
Yeah.
Your hands to your head and just going,
what is
where's all the good wine? What happened to my Cabernet Sauvignon?
Exactly. Where's my Cab Sav? What am I gonna do? And then my inner voice was like, I hate you so much. You're so disgusting.
Yeah. Have you seen the film Sideways?
Oh no, I haven't, but I have wanted to.
Oh my god, watch Sideways, and I'm literally thinking you're Paul Giamatti right now. You really are. You're the wine snob.
I am a terrible wine snob, and I know it. So.
Honestly, that film is genius. I'd recommend anyone to go watch it. There is one very, very funny, like, stupid line in that whole film. I don't want to give it away, but I might have to, because it is just so priceless. So he goes on like a wine tour with his friend.
I know the premise. Yeah.
Okay, so they go. They meet up with some ladies up there, and one of them's getting married, but he manages to start an affair with one of them, which is really weird. Gosh. But Paul Giamatti's character and Thomas Hayden Church's character are just standing outside this place, and he's like, "Oh, come on, just be social. You should, interact with them." And he's like, "Yeah, but they're gonna drink Merlot. like I will not drink no effing Merlot." And he gets really impassioned and really angry about it.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Yes.
Everybody hates Merlot, I guess.
I won't touch Merlot unless it's the last red available.
Well, then my point, it still remains, you are Paul Giamatti.
I'm the worst person in the world. But I will say, I did buy the crisp and cool, whatever it was, had some kind of pink thing. So
did it come with its own cover to keep it cold?
It's definitely got something on it that I don't understand. Oh gosh! And then Tesco makes their own brand of wine, and it was
yes, they do.
It was £2.75, and I couldn't do it. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
You know what you should do, right? You should open that one up, and then you open up another one
and mix them.
Value and mix them together. And then
I may have to.
You get half of one, half of the other. You might actually make a full glass of a good wine.
It might work. It might.
Or a full glass of one of the worst things.
I'll just be like, it's a blend. It's a blend from the... where's Tesco's headquartered at? I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
It's a blend from the countryside. All right, enough of my terrible wine snobbery. I know I'm a horrible person. I do apologize. It's giving us a good laugh for a bit. That's what I want. I want people to have a good laugh. And yes, you may laugh at my terribly privileged expense, because I am laughing along with you, believe me. Let me make it clear that anytime I say things that sound a little snobby, I was born and raised in East Texas, which is the most rural part of Texas. So don't worry, I come from very rural dirt floor roots. So
you can kind of tell it sometimes, because sometimes when she gets really annoyed, you'll hear the Texan hillbilly come out of her.
Actually, we're going to talk about it here in a second, and I'm going to wrap this up because we are going to run out of time. But there are parts of the Doom review that I was like, oh gosh, Kylie, you're getting tired, because I was pulling them eyes out real long. I was like, oh gosh.
But I think it would have been funny for you to go full Texan at it. It would have been hilarious.
I did at one point, which we'll get to because it is so funny. But anyway, NHS says to boost your self-esteem, which is self-esteem is the way you feel about yourself.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Okay. Now we've talked about this before, and I do have problems with this. I think most of us do. Which is the best way to improve your self-esteem is to treat yourself as you would treat a valued friend in a positive but honest way.
So what? Insult them constantly?
Well, see, that's the thing. My friends, people that are very special to me, and Pete will attest to this, I insult them. I'm not nice to the friends.
No, you are nice. It's just there's a big difference.
Yeah,
it's called being a wind up.
Yes. Oh, I love winding people up. I do, but I like people I care about. Yeah. Like I would.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not just going to go up to a random person in the street and go, look at you. Yeah. I'd get myself hit.
Exactly. So that line's always tough for me, but we have spoken about that before. You should treat yourself as well as you treat your friends, if not better. And then, try to be positive in your internal monologue. You know what's very weird? I found out, as much of the internet found out, there are people out there that don't have an internal monologue. That's a very strange thing. Yeah. But it's actually quite, I'm going to say, normal for some people. But
I guess so.
Yeah. I would think that people that are more action-oriented and little less overthinkers like ourselves probably don't. But I do have one, and it's very stern. It's a perfectionist, much like probably your own. So during this next couple weeks of uncertain times, do what you can. I know. But do what you can to kind of, I did really good at this, whatever. I'm doing really well. Pick 1 to 3 things a day that you do really well, and let yourself feel okay about that. You're not being a jerk. You're not being, up yourself. It's okay. It's okay. And then we go on as they repeat themselves. Limit your alcohol intake. When times are hard, NHS, why you gotta do me like this? When times are hard.
You're not the normal person, that's why. So this is aimed at general public.
Yeah, listen to this
general public.
nice little sentence they've put together that is like, Kylie, this is your sentence. When times are hard, it's tempting to drink alcohol because it numbs painful feelings.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
Yep. So they advise against, not drinking to dull the pain over the next while. I know that's difficult, guys. I really do.
Yeah. You try telling that to the people whose pubs have been closed.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I'm telling you what the NHS says, and then I'm also going to be very honest with you. Sometimes alcohol is what you got when the times are tough. Now, I'm never ever advising, if you can't wake up and face the day without having a stiff drink, maybe look into some help for that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all for laughing and joking about certain things, but sometimes, there is an underlying issue that you should...
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I mean, but if at the end of the day you have worked from home and you have working from home is very mentally taxing. And you're tired and you've done what you've had to do. You've walked the dog, you've walked yourself, you've, cleaned house, you've done everything, and you just want to relax. A glass of wine, a beer, a whatever is more than, that's fine. That is, as long as you're not,
absolutely,
waking up going, I can't face life as it is.
No, we've said it before. Everything in moderation.
Absolutely.
Moderation is a very, very good. Have too much or too little good things.
Yes.
You should just like you said. If you're getting up and the first thing you're doing in the life, I need a stiff drink, or I need to go and let's be honest here, go sniff a line of cocaine
or whatever. Go
smoke a big joint or something like that. Is the only way that you can get through the day. You might need to look into that.
Yeah, and
especially during these really trying times, where it's just so easy to do that because there's no one monitoring you at all.
No, and the thing is, like, it is tough, and it does not in any way, shape, or form make you a bad person, quote unquote.
No.
If you do such things, it just means that there's an underlying problem. Maybe you should think about getting help for. There's nothing wrong with that, believe me.
No.
I've been through my fair share. And
me too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moderation. And then they say, oh, NHS, why you gotta be like this? Choose a well-balanced diet. So far, I will not lie, my balanced diet has been coffee, wine, and chocolate.
To be fair, I'm usually worse, but actually I've been quite disciplined this time.
That's very good. Yeah.
So I've literally been getting up. I haven't been having breakfast. I never have breakfast, but
I'm not breakfast either.
About 11:30, 12 o'clock, I'm literally making my lunch and just eating it whilst I'm working,
That's very
and then
good.
I'm not actually snacking during the day, which is really weird for me.
Yeah, that's very good. That's actually really good.
Yeah, I think it's because I've lost out on 4 miles of walk. I have to be a bit more I have to be a little bit more self-conscious about that idea.
Which leads directly into the next point. Do some exercise. Yes, it's like you knew. But it is true. I mean, obviously, normally I am in training. I lift weights quite regularly. And I do stupid cardio that I hate. But
cardio sucks.
Cardio sucks so bad. And I like to do it in a very weirdly, ironically, socializing type place. I don't like to do it on my own.
Of course.
Yeah. And of course, the gyms are closed now. And
so you've got to do it yourself.
I have to do it myself. And I'm kind of looking at some of the more creative ways of doing it on like YouTube. Like they have something I used to do when I was younger, which is the Spartan workout.
Oh, nice.
It will kill you inside and outside. And then I just found, as I was talking off mic to Pete, that Bethesda released a Doom-based fitness program.
Which I thought's really interesting.
I am going to be doing that. And it's called Rip and Tear. Because that's what you do. That is what you do to your muscles, is you rip and tear your muscles, and then they build back and they build bigger and, all that kind of stuff. And it's just everything separated. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So definitely get your exercise in, because I think a lot of us are kind of in your situation, Pete, which is we used to walk to work, and now we're not.
Yeah, cycle or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, I think I said it earlier, but you're not isolated from going outside. You're just isolated from people.
Which is your ideal world.
I know it is. It really is. Which, again, is very ironic that I'm surrounded by people at the moment. Yeah. Now, another one of my huge weaknesses, get enough sleep.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, lack of sleep is really bad for you, because when you're asleep, your body repairs itself.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and that's from your mind all the way to your physical body.
Yeah, we can tell you from experience. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say that, and we'll go into that.
Yeah, it's like that's coming up.
Goodness gracious me.
Now, and then this is interesting, and this is something that Pete and I have expressed many times in You Got This, and it's been very evident to me this past week at least, which is talk and share. It's very important.
Always.
Yes, that you communicate, whether it's friend, family, or even a counselor over the phone.
Doesn't matter who, someone you can trust.
Yeah, because, I mean, honestly, I'll read what they said, and then, we can just expand on it. But talking things through helps you to release tension rather than keeping it inside. It helps strengthen your relationships and connect with people. I, like a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, am an overthinker.
You don't have to tell me that twice.
Yeah, I know. If I have any downtime, I'm normally a workaholic. I can't be a workaholic right now.
No.
The work's just not there. And that means that my brain is free to think and wander. And it does not wander on positive, good things. It wanders on, everything I've ever done wrong in my life. And poor Pete, I will sometimes just message him out of the blue with some kind of brain explosion. And he'll be like, all right, get on the headset. Let's talk this through.
You did that the other day when I was literally just about to finish work, and I was like, right, are you on your PC? No, I can't be. So I just went, all right, well, look, I've got 10 minutes of work left to go. Might as well just talk this out. Come on.
And sure enough, we did, and I was cleared again for another, 24 hours till my brain started closing in on itself again. But that's to really express how important talking is.
It really is.
Being that I'm autistic and I am not a social person and I don't connect with other people, I lack those kind of things, but I'm watching it in other people. They're having to rely on me as their...
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. As their... Because, a lot of people are full of anxiety. I don't really... I have anxiety, just not about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
My anxiety is different. And so I'm having to comfort people. I'm out of my comfort zone. But it's allowing me to see how much typical humans need interaction with other humans. And that's good for me to learn. Because I don't need it, so I've never thought about it. But I see it's a need in other people. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you need people to talk to, reach out. And
absolutely.
I, for one, will say, Pete's great.
I can be.
Yeah.
When I'm not having my own sort of meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, we all do. I spent last week calming down the fears of 2 or 3 people, and it made me not think about my own fears, which is good. But then once I got them calmed down, I started to get like...
You had your own ones.
Yeah, and there was really no one to calm me down. Because I wasn't going to put that back on them. That just wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, of course.
So, we just have to be there for each other. And their next thing that they say is something that I'm a big believer in. To an extent that I probably overdo it. Which is build your resilience. Resilience is what allows you to cope with life's ups and downs. Making something worthwhile out of painful times helps your resilience grow. Start a support group online. We can talk to people in like a Discord
Yeah.
chat or whatever. Make
Oh, cool.
something creative, which I have to say, the creativity coming out of people is just, it's so
It's been
cool. I love it.
so good.
I love watching that. The creative arts can help you express pain and get through hard times. Yeah, resilience is good. I like I said, I kind of overdo it to the point where I'm completely independent at times, which is not good. But
Yeah.
some resilience is very good to get through things.
Sure.
But again, that's built by communicating and connecting with other people.
Yeah.
And seeing that it's not all negative. There's always a silver lining. I do believe that. That is one thing that, as cynical as I am ultimately an optimist. And you could always find some good underneath all the bad.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some people out there who are just...
Oh, yeah. I mean...
But they're very few and far between.
I am finding that, and I'm glad. Because it kind of gives me hope. And it's weird. I am actually finding little snippets of hope here and there. Little hope bubbles.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I like that. But, as always, and I mean this from the very bottom of my heart, but you have got this. It's tough. But humanity, we're all pulled through, and we're in this together. That is the bottom line. We're all suffering the same fate, and we're doing, and you know what? Look at it this way. It's wonderful that we, as a entire global population, have decided to make it safer for the vulnerable populations by isolating and quarantining ourselves. We're doing that for other people. I love that. That the entire world. Yeah, we've joined together, and that's a pretty beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. I'm really pleased that humanity's decided to actually do something for good rather than just for profit or for whatever.
Yes, exactly. And those that did try to do things for profit have been slated and
yeah, of course they have.
So, yeah. So always remember, you got this, and as usual, we are here to talk.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
So, we haven't got much of a topic this week.
No.
We haven't got any questions.
I know, it's sad.
But it's been a very busy week for us here. So, to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that we didn't, because it just means that we can just have a bit of a deep dive into the behind the scenes work of what had to go into putting the Doom Eternal review together, because oh my goodness, that was 5 days of madness.
It was. We'll start at the beginning. Overlord Mike announced that there was a Doom Eternal code, which was amazing. I mean, that is an absolutely amazing opportunity that Rapid Reviews has been handed.
I mean, we've had some pretty big games before, but this is,
I
would say this may have been one of the biggest.
I would put this up there as one of the biggest. And the fact that Mike pulled this off, and
it's insane. And I think for the betterment of the site, it was one of the biggest cops that we'd ever got, basically,
Absolutely, because from here on out, we can always say, hey, we reviewed Doom Eternal.
We did AAA games.
Yeah, we have done AAA games.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that most people don't seem to appreciate, is that we're still a very young site.
Very, absolutely.
It was only, I was involved the beginning of last year, and that was when there was 6 months down.
Yeah.
So it's now pretty much 18 months in that respect. We're starting to gain these huge tentpole games.
Oh, it's so amazing. It is so amazing. And so that went up in the review chat, and I thought I'll toss my hat in there.
Yeah, it's in the very usual way of what happens is if a code comes in, Mike will post down in a channel and say, we have this code available, and then we'll either go, yeah, I'll take that, and if there's more people that want to take it, then it's usually done on a random basis. However, this one wasn't, so do you want to explain what happened then?
Yeah, I still sometimes sit here and go, what the heck happened?
So do I.
To be fair, I was having a terrible week. I was not in a good place mentally.
Can I just
Yeah.
mention this?
Absolutely.
The fact that me and you were actually talking because you were having a bad week,
Yes.
and we were talking as all of this was coming in.
Yes, you got to watch it.
I know
in real
we
time.
were just watching this coming in, and you were like, freaking out like ridiculously.
It was insane. So I wasn't having the greatest week. I see the Doom Eternal code come up, and I'm like, yes, throw my hat in the ring.
Please, because
I'm
I
a
love
huge
Doom.
Doom fan. Yes, I've met John Romero. He is amazing, and just Doom was very part of my childhood. I didn't even have to tell reasons. I was just like, I just want my hat thrown in the ring. Yeah. Well, and then one of our writers, very prolific, well, a few of them, but a prolific writer, Mike Tootie, said, you know what? I'm going to take my name out of the drawing. Because I can't even remember his exact reason.
I think it was because Ori was due out.
Yeah, that was it. And he's doing the review for Ori.
Which is now out, by the way.
Go check that out. And he said, I think Doom should be a video review. To which Jen then said, absolutely, I second this. To which Mike then said, Mike Tootie, I think Kylie should do this.
Yep,
and I was like, oh my gosh. I started like legit anime girl squealing, which I don't do. I'm not that way. And so Jen and Mike are just like, yes, this is a great idea. Overlord Mike steps in and says, I'm making an executive decision. Kylie gets the review.
Yeah, because a couple of people were putting their names into that and going, we really want to take this, we want to do this. I mean, in all fairness, these people are prolific. They do write a review. So fair play that they want to get a big game.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know, Mike, obviously, the Overlord Mike decided to go, nope, I'm taking this one, and this is going to you, basically.
Yeah.
You know, I literally sat and read that message, and I was on the call to you on Discord, and you just went,
like,
oh my god, what are they doing to me? What are they doing to me?
I was like screaming in caps. I was like,
it was crazy, to be fair. And then,
but I was gonna say, I knew that I was going to need help, which is where you come in.
You were out of your depth, and so was I. Let's be honest. Because I haven't video edited in about 14 years.
Oh my gosh, and I have, but on such a small scale.
Me too. Mine was stupid college projects. Yeah, that's how long it was for me. I hadn't done it in so many years.
And we had 5 days, so I had to play.
The code came in on Wednesday.
And it took a day to download.
Yep. Well, it was it was in the what was it? It was in the evening that you got it. So it took all of the evening and all night to download.
Yes. And then I think I started playing on Friday, either Thursday night or Friday. As soon as
Thursday night, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as that thing went, your game is ready to play. Oh, but we must talk about the fact that there was a huge NDA embargo.
Oh, yeah, there was a huge embargo for this one. So.
I've done embargoes before, not like this. This was huge. They even wanted me to take my profile offline.
Yeah,
which I had to do.
You weren't able to actually show anyone that you were playing this, like, because obviously with Xbox Live and PS4's PSN, it will show what you're playing. So they specifically said to appear offline.
Yep.
Or not even connect to the internet.
Yeah, but you had to connect to the internet because you had to also register with Bethesda, which I'd been registered for many years.
Of course.
And so I had Pete check and make sure that I was appearing offline. So I had to do a lot of prep work before I even got to play. I had to go change all my permissions and everything. And oh my gosh, I was terrified that I'd break it. I couldn't tell anyone that I was reviewing it. until
Yeah, not
Friday.
until a couple of days ago. Yeah, it was like a couple of days before the review. There was an embargo on being able to say that you are reviewing that game.
Exactly. And one of my people that I look up to, I guess, he announced on his feed that he was reviewing it. And so I was like,
oh my God, I can tell people.
Exactly. I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. So then I threw together a graphic and we, made the announcement and everything. But that really put the pressure on Pete and I. And so I had to finish playing an 18-hour campaign.
In 2 days.
Which, okay, let's be honest, that's not a problem for me. But it still starts chopping down on your prep time. And then we had to write a script. I usually do storyboarding, and I was going to do storyboarding for this, but we were so short on time, we just hooked up the headsets and started talking and saying, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, that was on Monday night.
Oh my gosh.
So on last Sunday, we were literally, we got a big project going on. We're doing this. We can't really say anything because we couldn't say anything. We weren't allowed to.
Yep.
Well, specifically you.
Yes.
I could have, but I would have blown the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't sign anything.
That's right.
But I decided to take the courtesy option because I was the one helping you out. I didn't want that to pretty much get screwed. Much. So
I was so thankful because I was so terrified. I was like, I don't know what I can show.
I was literally like, look, pass me the NDA. Let me have a look through.
Yep.
I'll tell you what I think you can show.
Yeah.
So we obviously decided as a result of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll give props to Bethesda any time I can, really, or absolutely slate them for most of the time because they are usually pretty terrible. But this time, the Bethesda account had so many good things in there for the purpose of the review, like high quality footage of all the trailers that you could download or links to YouTube, lots of different images that you could use. It was really good.
It should be noted that this was on their press site, which is blocked off from the just people going to it. You have to have press credentials, so.
So you had to sign up beforehand. So we shared the login, obviously, and I was able to download all the footage whilst you were still putting the final touches on things. So all the footage we used was all, trailer footage or, stuff or videos that had been out in the public sphere already. So there was no actual gameplay of you playing.
And to be fair, I mean, we did that to cover our behinds. And actually, the guy that I follow, which is LGR, Lazy Game Reviews, he did something very similar. He did put in a few shots of the lobby. But outside of that, he used the same footage we did. So I knew that we'd made the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you would have tried to do captures and stuff like that, then you might have broken something. But inadvertently, but it could have come back on us in a big way.
Yeah, and that short notice, we didn't want to run the risk. And so I'll tell you, we'll each give you little secrets from our sides. So writing the script, not a problem. I'm a professional writer. So that writing a script, not a problem. Did that in, I don't know, less than 10 minutes. But recording what I wrote.
Wow.
Okay, so I do little video spots for my online or for my business that I post online, and those can take up to 3 or 4 hours, and they're like short little 10-minute videos.
Yeah.
I thought for sure there's no video. I'm just doing a voiceover.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through an entire, I don't know, I'd say 7-minute script.
Yeah.
Without messing up. So
that's normal.
I ended up having to break it into 2 parts and then send Pete the 2 parts because I could not. And my voice was starting to get hoarse. It took. Yep. You were asking
hours.
for. I was going to say it was hours from when you were like, "Well, I'm ready whenever you are."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm still trying to record." It had to have been at least 3 hours.
Yep, it
for
probably
6
was.
minutes, 6 or 7 minutes.
I know, because during that time, I was sort of saying to you, "Look, no pressure. Like, I'm just working on other things at the moment.
Yeah.
But I need a general understanding of what the time count is, so I can sort everything out based on that time count."
Exactly.
So I was sitting there like doing all the video editing for it, making sure we had plenty of B-roll just in case. So to people who don't do video editing, B-roll is stuff that you won't eventually use, but you like to have more than enough just to be on the safe side. So I did the same with the music as well.
Yes.
So I had probably about 10 to 12 minutes of music and video pretty much prepped and ready to go.
Yeah, because to be fair, we were trying to shoot for the 10-minute mark.
Originally.
Didn't quite make it, but that's okay. So
what I kept saying to you was that you shouldn't make it 10 minutes. It done natural, you know. And I felt the script that you came up with was absolutely perfect, and it was a very, very good length. It described everything that you wanted to describe. So anything more than that could have felt forced.
Well, I was going to say, that's what you kept saying. Don't force it. Keep it natural, which was good. I am very proud of it. And then, let's see, on my end, I tried to record an intro. And
that
took another, oh gosh, that's another 2 hours easily. Now, bearing in mind, Pete had to be at work the next morning.
I'm sending messages going, have you got the intro? Have you got this? Have you got that? It's like, it's getting late. It's getting late.
It's like, it doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. I wasn't happy with it because the lighting, because I guess the natural light was gone. Even though I'm still recording underground, I still get a little bit of natural light.
Yeah.
But being that it was, midnight, 1 a.m., obviously natural light is gone. And the rest. So I could not get my lighting right. Yeah. And it wouldn't match the rest of the quality of the video. It just looked like somebody recording, just a web video or something. I don't know. It just was not, it didn't feel right. So let's
be honest, it looked like a TikTok video.
It did. That's exactly, that's the perfect description. It looked like a TikTok video. And I hated it. And but I wasted 2 hours doing that. But we learned. So I wasted 2 hours in that. But I did get it sent over. And Pete tried to make it work, and I just didn't.
I tried my best.
So,
but oh my God, it was at that point, like, this. I think it's about 2:30 in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe later. And I'm like, right, I've edited it all down. The audio is in place. Like, everything's like where it needs to be. Bearing in mind, I'm using Adobe Premiere, which I've never used in my life.
Props to you for that, because that is that's a tough one. That's what I have over here as well.
Yeah.
And to just jump in. That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. So that first hour and a half was literally me mucking around.
Yeah.
Moving everything about and going, where is this gone? What do I do with this? What is happening?
Right.
So, and then, I finally got the hang of it. Essentially, but all the music and that was edited using Adobe Audition, because I actually know how to use that, because that's what I edit the podcast on.
Yes, exactly.
So I was like, okay, I just got to sort the video out, and so put it all in, and then went, okay, let's save this and render this.
And it rendered in like no time, and I was like,
it was like 5 minutes, if that.
I was like, wow, that's literally the first time. I was like, okay. Maybe because it's so short.
Turns out it was a potato.
Yes, it was.
So I was exporting it and rendering it as an MP4.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly, like, in flash of moments of ridiculousness at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Went, hold on, if I change this to an AVI, I can actually up the quality, can I not? And I went, yes, I can. So I then rendered it out and tried to render it as a 60 frame 1080p full HD video.
Yep.
And let that render overnight.
Yes.
Oh my God, the file was 105 gigs after that.
It was huge.
Yeah. So there was no way I could compress that down and put that anywhere without any problem. So I was like, right, So this is now 6:30 a.m.
Yes.
Right, I've slept for 3 hours.
Yep.
Got up the next morning and went, right, so this is rendered. I need to add this. Oh my God, this is huge. Okay, let's go back in because I left my computer running, just doing its thing.
Yep.
And I just went, right, I've got to re-render this whilst I get myself ready for work.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it down to a 720 30 seconds. And that rendered at
a normal time.
It was 25 gigs, I think, the file. So I was just like, right, okay, I'm now having a problem where I've got to sit here and compress this now. So that was another hour.
Yeah.
By this point, I'm going to be late for work. So I was like, right, I could start. I'm flexible starting. I could start 9:30 if the worst case scenario. Let me book a taxi because I need to sort this today.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were on a time limit. Had to be up by 2 p.m.
Yeah. So this is 8:30 in the morning. I'm still compressing this footage ready to upload. So it gets finished with the compression at about 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I start to upload it to our Google Documents, the shared one that we use. And that's going to take an hour and a half. So I'm like, okay, I can live with this. If I leave my computer on, I can work. And I have the access on my phone so I can keep checking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turns out I didn't give you the access.
You did not.
So
I can't get this.
You're just like, I can't download this. What's going on? Oh my God.
It's giving me an error. It's giving me an error.
Like, and I'm just like, okay, just calm down. Right, it's fine. I was just like, right, what's the number on the screen? Because Google does this really weird security thing that if you get a secondary log on, they give you a number on the screen and you have to confirm it on both sides. So I was just about to message you saying, what's the number? And then you messaged me saying, the number is this. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I have literally I've come out of this and now it's cancelled the request.
Oh my gosh.
So,
we had to redo it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was sitting there on my phone when I'm supposed to be working, like trying to work for all of this, and oh my God. And then I left it to you, and then next thing I know, people were on our Discord site just going, right, it's 2:00, where's the review?
Where is it? So over on my end, I had to do the things that we knew we were going to do, which was I needed to put in text. And
some graphics.
And some graphics, which that's the stuff I'm good at. Well, I hate to say I'm good at, but that's the stuff I know how to do.
Yeah, that's the stuff I'm completely clueless with.
Yeah, which is why we make such a good team. And so I'm doing the text and the graphics and the this and the that, and then I go to upload it to YouTube, and it's massive. It's just gigantic, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, we had a couple of, I'm just say MP3s in, because it's just easier to say that. We had a lot of music in there.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot.
A lot. And it was a full, like, multi-layered. It wasn't.
Yeah, because that's one thing I didn't actually talk about, was my hour spent finding the perfect music for it, to which you didn't even use half of it.
I know. But... To both of our credit, Doom soundtracks are gorgeous. They're amazing.
Well,
okay, most of them. Okay, 2 of them.
Three of them are great. Three of them are great.
3, because I would say it's Doom 2, Doom 2016, and then Doom Eternal for me.
No, I would also say the first soundtrack is wicked as well.
Well, I do like it. Yeah, very much. Of course, they had a limitation on what they used at the time, but that's just because of course. Yeah. But I do enjoy it very much.
Yeah, I do.
But so I had to get rid of some of the music, and I hated doing that.
Yeah, I know you did.
I did, but it was the only way.
I completely understand your reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
I honestly, if you wish, you would have just kept that Doom 2 music in, because it was so damn funky.
I know, it was good. And then eventually I got it to be a decent size, got it uploaded, went live, and the rest is history.
It was like 2:45 it went live in the end.
So it wasn't too late.
You got it up using YouTube Premium.
Yeah. I did.
Which was really strange because I forgot that it was on Premiere, so I clicked the link.
Yeah.
And halfway through the review, I'm like, "What is going?
Yeah.
What? I don't remember this."
Yeah.
So I took the time back and I went, "Oh,
yeah. I
oh
wasn't
yeah,
sure
I
how
forgot we
that.
mentioned that."
Yeah. I wasn't sure how that was going to play out with everyone because it should have premiered at 2, which would have been the normal time.
Yeah.
But we weren't too late, which was good.
45 minutes over, considering you had to re-render.
Yeah, exactly.
Surprised by that.
Yeah, I was very worried about that. The rendering didn't go too bad; it went pretty smooth. But at the end, I mean, we have learned a few things. Like, yes, we do need an intro, and we know that for future endeavors. It's just we ran out of time. And an outro, yes. Next time.
Of course.
Yeah, and then of course next time we'll have more time to go over the music, compress it, that sort of thing. Music's always going to be important in our videos.
Of course.
Yes.
Also, the biggest lesson that I learned is never edit anything at 3 a.m.
Never.
Ever.
Yes. It's true. Yeah, and then we've learned a lot, but at the same time, I know I'm speaking for both of us, but I also know that it's very true. We're very proud of what was produced. I mean, there's things to learn from it, but...
Oh, yeah, there's always things to learn.
Exactly, but, I mean, we pulled off a very difficult thing. We pulled off a fully fledged video in
less than a week. Yeah. In less than a week. Not even 6 days. 5 days.
I think it was 5 days, yeah. And then take 2 away for playing, so 3 days.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
You storyboarded, wrote the script, told all the footage, downloaded all the footage, put it all together in less than 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive, if I'm honest.
I think we did a fabulous job.
Yeah.
And I think that we are both interested in, possibly doing things like that in the future. But of course, with more heads up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this one had a pretty strict embargo to it.
Yeah, exactly.
On that Tuesday, because otherwise it would get lost in the reviews that were going out from bigger outlets.
Absolutely. And to this date, we've had a very good viewing. And likes and everything, guys. If you're one of the ones out there that watched and liked and commented, we appreciate that so much. That was a lot of work, a lot of hard work, but we enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we're gonna have to call this.
We do. We need to. It's Mother's Day. So we very much appreciate you guys stopping by and listening to us. It makes all of this worthwhile. So if you want to find out the reviews that have gone up this week, and I do encourage you, head over to www.rapidreviewsuk.com.
Yep.
You can find us on Twitter at rapidreviewsuk. You can find the podcast on the Twitter. Reverse that. We can. At RR Radio Pod. We also have a Facebook page, which is Rapid Reviews UK. Yep. And our newest of the new, our Twitch channel, definitely watch. We are going to be streaming a lot more. Twitch.tv/RR Radio Pod. Yeah. And yes.
I'm hoping to do a stream at some point next week. I won't say what it is. You know what I'm planning.
I already know what it is. But yeah. I think that's good. Join in. It's great because we can just chat and... I'll be there on the chat window and stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe I can get some Doom Eternal streaming, maybe.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You hoped to get some done this week, but for some reason there were some restrictions on the Xbox that couldn't allow you to do it.
That's really was upsetting.
Yeah, it was very weird. So,
yeah.
I mean... Where can they find you on Twitter if they wanted to go to your personal Twitter?
If you wanted to go to my personal Twitter and see me tweeting about wine and autism, go to at Kiley to Greet, which is KILEYTHGREET. Also, there will be some Doom memes because I'm absolutely obsessed with them. So
yeah, of course they are.
And what about you?
You
I've
were
been
literally
sending
looking at Doom memes as we were talking.
I was.
But
Yes.
you can follow me at Pete Beckett1, which is BECKETT. And most of the time, I'm just commenting on loads of random stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And then one last address. We have the email address, so you can tell us things you'd like to see, hear, whatever, questions, all of that, which is podcast@rapidreviewsuk.com. So,
Perfect.
That leaves one last thing.
Yes.
Pete, hit us with the game fact. Yes.
Yes, indeed. So, did you know that South Korea put a ban on Japanese cultural imports following World War II, and it wasn't lifted until 2004?
Wow! Did not know that. Wow.
No, but there's more to it.
Okay.
So that didn't mean that that meant that South Korean gamers didn't know Mario.
Oh no.
So Hyundai Electronics distributed Nintendo's products in South Korea. Did you know that the NES was called the Hyundai Comboy and was superseded by the Super Comboy and Comboy 64?
That's wild. Never knew that. Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that. No, I've been sitting on that one for a few weeks.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. Well, thank you for stopping by yet again. And we will talk to everyone next week. Bye.
We will indeed. Bye.
Bye.